Now, you've all seen that come on the market and then a sold sign goes up and you're like, what the hell happened here? That's the tale of the sale. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about one right now.
Morning, Mark. Episode 470, where we at? And we're talking about the tale of the sale.
We are.
Tale of the sale. A couple of sold properties lately, but a particular an off-market sale, which happened to be a block record as well. So, how does off-market and block record come into the same equation, Mark? It's a bit of a special one, I think, if I say so myself.
I laugh whenever agents use the word block record because I'm like, I don't know, like lately it's every agency hero, mate, you're not a hero because the market, do you know what I mean? Like it's sort of, agents are trying to take the glory for this incredible property market. It's an incredible property market. There's no, it's you, mate, you haven't done that good. It's just been, COVID's helped you, and a population of 28 million has helped you. A super low interest rate has helped you. It's interesting. So block record, but mate, you smashed that one out of the ballpark. So what's the address?
So we had a property at 697 Pittwater Road. So a development in DY known as the Carlisle, which Novak has had the pleasure of selling off the plan, and we've sold a couple more. In fact, we've sold 3 this year now, Mark. So we've done 3 in 4 months in the Carlisle, but we had an off-market one, which was sold in 1 day.
Pre-market,
literally $0 marketing spend.
So what's the difference between pre-market and off-market?
I'm gonna say it was pre-market, not off-market, because we just didn't get to the market. It wasn't going to be an off-market campaign. We'd exchanged contracts before the ad had gone live, so it just worked. It worked well for everyone, though. It wasn't just the agent selling it in 1 day. It wasn't just a happy vendor. It worked out for the owners, the buyer, the tenant, and for the agency as well. So there are 4 parties that won in that transaction.
Okay, and just out of interest, what is the difference between off-market and pre-market for everyone, for anyone who doesn't know?
So off-market, no formal marketing whatsoever. Would you agree with that? Pre-market?
Well, I think off-market, I agree. Off-market's when you take a buyer to someone that's not selling, and deal done. That's just like, there was just it just didn't hit the radar, not socially, not emails, not signboard, not nothing. That's an off market is like just off the grid completely. Pre-market, an agent will use a lot of their tools without hitting the major portals, which is realestate.com and domain.com.au. Why is that such an effort or a big thing? Well, it's normally $2.5, $3 to put it on realestate.com.au, and it's probably $2 to put it on domain.com.au. So that the seller saves 5 Gs. And then why would you do that? Why would you save the money because it could cost you a lot more? I guess they just so overwhelmed by what a huge price it is. They go, we're not going to get that on the major portals either. Let's sell it. That's what you've done here.
Yeah. Well, it's a good opportunity it's explained in lots of different ways, but dipping your toe in the water and getting a feel for the market. In some circumstances like this one, the market can just be one buyer and it can all come together. This was a marriage of a buyer that was looking for the building, and one of the agents in the office had an appraisal in there that they were looking to sell. So it all sort of married up together, and it enabled the timelines to sync for all parties.
And tell me, the type of people that sold, they were an investor or owner occupiers?
Investor. So it was a tenanted property. They'd been talking about when to sell, how to work best with the timings of tenants moving in and out, etc. It was an investment. They bought it off the plan in 2017.
Yep.
They're great assets. The units in the Carlisle. I think that's fair to say, and they rent really well. But like everything,
DY. How many meters squared internal?
Internal 51.
51. That's got to be one of the greatest sale prices for a 51 metre squared property in the whole of the Northern Beaches. So 51 metres squared. Now, it was a one bedder, or it had a little cinema or something, didn't it? In addition to the one bedroom.
Correct. Yeah, it was a one bedder. The bathroom was an ensuite, which I found quite interesting, Mark. It wasn't a sort of opened, however you describe it, bathroom. It had a small sort of cinema study room. They've described them as when we went through the Carlisle sales. So it really was just it was a nice one better. Don't get me wrong. It was stunning, but small, north facing, which was one of its good traits or characteristics. And it had the Pittwater Road address as well.
So 920,000 for a 51 metre squared unit with an ensuite. But it had, like, I must admit, from a buyer's perspective, I would rather buy this than an old 2-bedroom unit. Like this was just kitted out beautiful. Had a view. So straight down the Carlisle is on the other side of Pittwater Road, but it's straight down Howard Avenue. So if you're on that northern side of the build, you do have a view down Howard Avenue that passes you into where there's a little bit of an ocean view. So it is a nice aspect. It's probably one of the nicer in the building. I wouldn't go as far as saying it's the nicest, but it's probably right up there. So it had a couple of really strong traits: north facing, a bit of a partial ocean view, a nice north facing balcony. But other than that, very, very normal. And Lisa just mentioned I got a bit over $2 million for a unit in Queenscliff 2 years ago, which was a one better. That's still got the record for the highest price one better ever paid on the Northern Beaches. Just saying, not showing off or anything.
Wow. I thought it was about me.
So who bought this place? Because I guess the type of person that would spend so much money on a one better, these guys want quality, yeah, because they could have got an average 2 better. Tell us about them.
So the way this sale came about, as I was in the court talks with the owners about how's the market going, etc., we had a rental inquiry from a lady who said, "Hi guys, just putting the feelers out there. I've just sold, and I'm looking to buy a one better or 2 better. Definitely in the Carlisle building, needs to be north facing." So I jumped on that inquiry before any other agent could take it, because in our office we have an internal system where you can, depending on the timeframes, you can take other inquiries. But it was just perfect synergy. And so she unfortunately had been divorced. She and her partner had sold. They sold a beautiful apartment in Narrabeen, and they settled from their sale on the 11th, and she settles on her new apartment purchase on the 11th. A 2-week settlement.
How good is that? And so the nice thing is that when you're selling with us or buying with us, you will get, if you send an email inquiry through 24 hours a day, you will get a real agent coming back to you generally within 9 minutes. Them's the rules. So well-serviced client, and that's good. So that's pretty targeted, eh?
There were a lot of moving parts. It could have gone wrong in so many ways and places, but yeah, I'm proud of it because, as I say, everyone won in that scenario. It wasn't no one was burnt. It wasn't bitter. It was just a really good transaction that turned out being really clean. And she gets her absolute dream property. Owners got their dream price that they weren't sure they could achieve, given that they bought at the top of the market. It's a good result. Really happy.
And another thing, as an agency perspective, you had that transparency of the inquiry, so you could actually see the quality and qualify that inquiry that was coming through. So it was talk about putting the right ball into the right catcher's mitt at that time. That's a cracker.
Yeah, it was really, really good. And tenants were in the process at the very end of their lease. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, database.
Yeah. Well, that's all it is. And it really is just taking putting a bit more weight into the interests of the people that you're talking to, understanding their situation. This lady had a timeline she had to work with. She was moving out, settling on her property in 3 weeks when we first started talking. And
wow.
And it was James, if I don't find something, can you find something for me to rent short term? Like I don't want to have to move twice. There's all of these things happening. So yeah, she and I now have a really good relationship, and it's hard to put it into words for myself. Yeah, we're basically dating now.
Just a question. With an owner selling a property and not going to an open house, how does one know that they got the best price? So how would this owner feel warm and fuzzy about this price? Like I know that we sit there and say 51 metres squared selling for 920,000. That is incredible. But as an owner, don't you have this reservation that if you did go to realestate.com.au or domain.com.au, you could have gotten more for the property? Don't you have this of like, we should have gone to 1 or 2 open houses and seen what the market's going to say?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that emotion when you're an owner? How do you explain it as an agent?
That's a really good question, and you could probably articulate that better than I could. But I think it's just having trust and being very forthcoming with the information you provide them from the get-go. 920 was a difficult price to get, but we got it because we had the right buyer that wanted it. It was a perfect synergy. I don't think in any normal situation you would get that. The price guide was not 920. The price guide was substantially below that figure. What
was it? What were you guiding for price to buyers out there?
840.
Yeah, wow. So it was. So when the owner really got hit with a pretty heavy, high, hard offer before it even had the opportunity to go to an open house or to go to a major portal. In addition to support the owner's decision making, there were other sales. Like, fortunately, this building has 85 units. And fortunately, there's been a lot of sales in the last week or month in that building. So I guess with that visibility as well, knowing what everyone else in the market is actually sold for, I think can make that owner feel pretty good, because there was other ones that were 55 metres squared that were selling it at 805 and 800. So when an owner gets 920, because I think sometimes as a seller you think, you idiot, why didn't you do an open house? Why didn't you put a signboard up? Why didn't you put on realestate.com.au? But not an idiot here. Like, I think it's a clever buyer offering a premium for it to go prior, and a clever seller taking that premium.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And it's all in how it was framed up from the start, that if you're going to be the one person that comes through the property, unfortunately on the guide level it's never going to do the deal. So we do have to be at the top end of the scale. And fortunately she loved the property and it worked out for everyone. So yeah, it was a happy and I think probably one of my nicest moments in real estate, not because of making the sale, but because of how it helped the buyer and how it helped the vendors in the time frame that it did. I think that's given me the best feeling that the job has so far done 2 years in. Tale of the sale. Hope that.
Tale of the sale.
It's good to get it out there, just to chat to you about it, Mark. It's interesting. It's yeah, I'm proud of this one. I'm going to hold this one closely, and I'm going to say I won't be saying block record, but I'll have it in the back of my mind.
Block record or street records, like whoa. But I really do feel passionately about that. Like we are like I think that like I don't want to take away from agents' thunder, but of getting great prices. But I do often think when something's sold, like we've just got to be really conscious, because there's someone out there that's bought that property, and we don't want to make them feel stupid for paying a high price. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think there's someone selling that property, and we want to fly the flag as well. But I think reporting prices to the marketplace, I think as we've just got to be really careful with, because we've got to manage so many people's feelings. Lisa says we change lives. Don't forget that. It's true.
Sorry, Mark. Something that's been happening, it's been prevalent in the last 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, with the market moving in the direction that it has. It's been a prime time for there being record sales and selling hundreds of thousands over reserve. It's great to say it out loud. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel like you've done a good job. But every other person that's looking at that, or 50% of the people, they're buyers that have probably been burnt by the process, and then it takes away your credibility as well.
It's a good point, man.
In its own way, it does, because why is he bragging about selling something for $500,000 more than his reserve price? Why wasn't his price here and there? It's true. I was having a conversation with another buyer for another property that we have, that we're exchanging on today, and he was talking about how there was a guide of 2.1 and the property selling for 2.87 or something like that. And fair enough for a phenomenal house, but what agent put a 2.1 guide on a $2.9 million property is the question in this market. Anyway,
yeah. The agent, great, but who I really care about is those 50 people that came, potentially got misled when the agent knew that it was gonna reach 2.5 or 2.4. Do you know what I mean? So 15, even though it goes for 2.8, like give some sort of Yeah.
Well, like I think he mentioned it was about 14 or 15 registered parties at the auction. 3 of them bid, because the other 11 basically stormed out of the auction in the end, because the numbers just flew up so high. They'd spent all this time, they got emotionally invested, they got contract changes, they've invested some flesh and blood into themselves, and then they, within a split second of the auction being opened, they're already out of the price.
And when you're a buyer, you've been screwed, or that auction genuinely just went bananas by the way that campaign was conducted, in most parts, because I think that sometimes as an agent I see price indicators on a property, and I'm like, mate, you got to be kidding me. There is no chance in hell it's going to go for that. It's actually going to go for this. And guess what? When it sells at auction, it does go for what I'm saying. So it's like you ran that whole 4 weeks, God will, knowing that you were going to get 500 grand more. Now the problem is, most of the buyers actually that came through that campaign know that as well. And like you're a bullfed, Mr. Real Estate Agent. But there are some buyers that just don't know. They've just started and they go through and just buy building inspections for $500, spend money on the inspections and checking the contract with it, not even with a chance. So anyway, that's another topic we can talk about all day long.
That's a very interesting one. But mate, have a good day today, Friday. Hope everyone enjoyed that this morning, and we'll see you next time.
See you, buddy. Cheers.